My fiancé ordered, "We must go to Paris for vacation." After I got laid off and was struggling financially, I replied, "Déjà vu." Then I got us to Paris, Texas. 4 hours later, she was Googling flights back home. I just got back from the most satisfying trip of my life, and I need to share this with someone because my brain is still processing what happened. So backstory. I got laid off from my marketing job 2 months ago. Company downsized, last hired, first fired type deal. Been living off savings and unemployment, cutting every corner possible. Ramen for dinner, canceled Netflix, the whole poverty starter pack. My fiancée Clarissa, 26, knew this obviously. Last week she comes home from her job at the boutique and goes, "Babe, I've been thinking. We need to go to Paris for vacation. My coworker just got back and the pics are amazing. We should book for next weekend." I'm like, "Clar, I literally just bought generic cereal yesterday because Cheerios was too expensive. That's exactly why we need this. You're so stressed about money. A romantic getaway will fix everything." I tried explaining that Paris would cost like 4 to 5 grand minimum. Flights, hotels, food, everything. She kept saying her dad could help out, translation, pay for it, and that I was being financially paranoid. Then she hit me with, "If you really loved me, you'd find a way to make this happen. This is about our future." That's when something clicked. I remembered my buddy Jake telling me about Paris, Texas last year. Small town, quirky, has an Eiffel Tower replica. "You know what, you're right. Let's go to Paris." Her face lit up. "Really?" "Absolutely. Pack your bags, we leave tomorrow morning." She spent the whole evening planning outfits and making lists of French restaurants she wanted to try. I booked us a hotel room and mapped out the drive, took every ounce of self-control not to smirk. Next morning, 6 a.m. sharp, bags in my old Honda. She's dressed like she's about to walk down the Champs-Élysées. I'm playing French music, really selling it. 2 hours in, she goes, "Shouldn't we be at the airport by now?" "Nope, we're driving." More romantic, like a road trip in the French countryside. She bought it for another hour until she noticed the landscape looking suspiciously like Texas, instead of, France. When we pulled up to the Paris, Texas Visitor Center with its tiny Eiffel Tower, the silence in my car was deafening. "What is this?" "This is Paris, babe, just like you wanted." She spent the next 4 hours alternating between screaming at me and frantically Googling flights back home on her phone. I took pics by the Eiffel Tower, got some decent barbecue, had a pretty good day honestly. The drive back was tense. We're not speaking right now, she's staying at her parents' house. But honestly, I don't even feel bad. She knew our financial situation and still demanded an international vacation like I'm some kind of ATM. Am I the bad guy here? Part of me thinks I should apologize, but another part thinks she needed a reality check. Update 1. Well, things escalated quickly. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. Really helped me realize I wasn't crazy. So Clarissa came back after a week at her parents'. I thought maybe we'd talk things out like adults. Nope. She walked in with her mom, Patricia, 50, who immediately started laying into me about humiliating their family and being emotionally abusive. Apparently taking your fiancé to Paris, Texas instead of Paris, France is now considered psychological warfare. Patricia goes, "Clarissa deserves someone who can provide for her properly. This little stunt proves you're not ready for marriage." Then Clarissa drops this gem. "I've been thinking, and I want you to pay for a real Paris trip to make up for this. Consider it your apology." I laughed. Literally laughed out loud. "Clar, I'm still unemployed. I have about $800 in my checking account." "Then get a loan, or ask your parents, or pick up a second job. I don't care how you do it, but this needs to happen before Christmas." This is where it gets good. I pulled out my phone and showed them my bank statements, my unemployment paperwork, everything. Laid it all out on the kitchen table. This is our reality. This is what broke looks like. If you want Paris, France, you pay for it. Patricia started screeching about how real men don't let their women pay for vacations. Clarissa said I was weaponizing poverty to control her. That night, I found Clarissa on the phone with someone, whispering about other options and maybe it's time. Couldn't hear everything, but the tone was pretty clear. Checked our shared calendar the next morning. She'd scheduled a girls' trip to Vegas for the following weekend. Funny how she found money for that. I'm starting to see some patterns here that I maybe ignored before. Like how she always forgot her wallet when we went out. Or how she'd buy expensive stuff and then act shocked when I mentioned money was tight. Still staying strong though. If she wants Paris, she can book it herself. Update 2. Holy crap, you guys. I need to document this because it's getting wild. So remember how Clarissa was having whispered phone calls? Yeah, those were with her ex, Marcus, 29. Found this out because she left her laptop open and her messages were synced. Apparently, she'd been complaining to him about my financial situation and how I was holding her back. Marcus, who works in finance and makes decent money, was being very sympathetic. Lots of "you deserve better" and "he doesn't appreciate you" type messages. But here's the kicker. She told him she was single. Like, completely single. No mention of being engaged or living with someone. I screenshotted everything before she got back from work. When she walked in, I was sitting at the kitchen table with printed copies of their conversations. "So, Marcus seems nice?" Her face went ghost white. Started stammering about how it wasn't what it looked like. They were just friends, I was being paranoid, blah blah blah. "Clara, you literally told him you were single and available. You made plans to meet him next weekend." That's when she flipped the script completely. Started yelling about how I violated her privacy and had no right to look at her messages. Said I was being controlling and abusive for questioning her friendships. Then she hit me with this. "Maybe I am single. Maybe I've been thinking about whether I want to marry someone who can't even afford to take me on a proper vacation." I just stared at her. This girl who I'd been with for 3 years, who I'd supported through her dad's medical bills, who lived in my apartment rent-free for 8 months when she was between jobs. "You know what, Clarissa? You're right. You are single." Took off my engagement ring and set it on the table. "I want you out by the end of the week." She immediately backtracked, started crying, saying she didn't mean it. But nah, I was done. You don't get to threaten the relationship as leverage and then act shocked when someone calls your bluff. She's been staying at Patricia's ever since, but apparently that's not going well either. My neighbor mentioned seeing Clarissa crying in her car outside our building yesterday. Marcus ghosted her once he found out she was engaged, by the way. Saw that in the final messages before she changed her passwords. Update 3. You're not gonna believe this update. Seriously, I couldn't write this stuff if I tried. So Clarissa's been gone for about 2 weeks now, and I figured that was it. Wrong. Last Tuesday, I get a call from my landlord, Mr. Peterson. Apparently Clarissa had been calling him, claiming she was still living here and needed a key because she lost hers. She told him I was traveling for work and wouldn't be back for weeks. Peterson shut that down real quick since only my name is on the lease, but it was sketchy as hell. Then Thursday happened. I came home from a job interview, finally got some leads, to find Clarissa sitting in my living room. She'd somehow gotten in through the balcony door, which I'd forgotten to lock. "We need to talk," she says, all casual, like she didn't just commit breaking and entering. Turns out, living with Patricia wasn't working out. Shocking, I know. Patricia apparently expected her to contribute to household expenses, clean up after herself, and follow house rules like some kind of reasonable adult. "I made a mistake," Clarissa says. "I was stressed about money too, and I handled it badly. We can work through this." I'm standing there thinking this has to be a joke. Also, she continues, "I talked to my dad about the Paris thing. He's willing to pay for the trip as an early wedding present. We could go in spring." That's when I realized she still didn't get it. She thought this was about Paris. Like the issue was just the vacation, and not her complete lack of respect for our financial reality. "Clarissa, this isn't about Paris anymore." "Then what's it about?" I laid it out for her. The entitlement, the emotional manipulation, the lies to Marcus, the complete disregard for my feelings. Breaking into my apartment. Her response? "You're being dramatic. Every couple fights about money." Then she goes, "Look, I already told my dad we worked things out. He's expecting us for dinner Sunday. I also called your mom and explained that you were going through a rough patch, but we're good now." The audacity was honestly impressive. She'd told our families we were back together without even talking to me first. "I need you to leave. Now. This is my home too." "No, it's not. Your name isn't on anything. You don't pay for anything. You broke in here illegally. That's when she played her final card. If you don't take me back, I'll tell everyone you were abusive. I have photos of the bruises on my arm from when you grabbed me. I stared at her. What bruises? What are you talking about? She rolled up her sleeve to show me a bruise on her forearm. From when you grabbed me during our fight. Except I'd never grabbed her. Ever. We'd never even had a physical altercation. That's when I remembered my security camera. I'd installed a basic system after some break-ins in the neighborhood. The camera in the living room had been recording our entire conversation. Clarissa, that camera has been recording since you got here, including the part where you just threatened to falsely accuse me of abuse. Her face went completely white. That's illegal. You can't record me without permission. Actually, I can. It's my apartment, and Texas is a one-party consent state. I walked over and made a big show of checking the camera, making sure the recording was saved. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave. You're not going to contact me again. You're not going to spread lies about me. And if you do, I have this whole conversation recorded, including your threat to make false abuse allegations. She left without another word. Final update. Time for the final chapter, and honestly, it's been a wild ride. First, the good news, I got a job. Better than my old one, actually. Marketing manager at a tech startup, decent salary, good benefits. Turns out getting laid off was the push I needed to aim higher. As for Clarissa, well, that's where things get interesting. About a month after the break-in incident, I get a text from Marcus. Yeah, the ex she was messaging. Apparently she'd reached out to him again after we officially ended things, but this time she was honest about the situation. Here's the thing though, Marcus is smarter than she gave him credit for. He did some digging, social media, mutual friends, etc., and figured out pretty quickly that her version of events didn't match reality. Turns out, Clarissa had painted me as this controlling, financially abusive guy who trapped her in a relationship. She told Marcus I'd isolated her from friends, monitored her spending, and refused to let her have any independence. Marcus knew this was BS because A, he could see from her social media that she was out with friends constantly, and B, she'd literally been planning to cheat on me with him while I was supporting her financially. So he screenshots their new conversations and sends them to me with a message. Thought you should know what she's saying about you. In these messages, she's asking him for money for a fresh start, claiming I'd left her with nothing, and she couldn't afford basic necessities. She even sent him photos of herself crying, saying she was scared to ask family for help because they'd take my side. The manipulation was honestly masterful. If I didn't know the real story, I might have felt bad for her too. But Marcus wasn't buying it. He told her he wasn't interested in getting involved and blocked her on everything. Here's the best part though. Remember how she told her dad we'd worked things out? Well, Patricia apparently told everyone at their church about how I'd abandoned Clarissa and left her homeless and penniless. Except Clarissa's cousin Emma, who follows me on Instagram, saw my posts about the new job and my normal, non-abusive life. Emma put two and two together and started asking questions. Long story short, the family figured out Clarissa had been lying about pretty much everything. The Paris situation, the abuse allegations, the financial stuff, all of it. Last I heard from Emma, Clarissa's dad was extremely disappointed and had cut off financial support until she got her life together. Patricia was apparently furious about being made to look like a fool at church. Clarissa's now working at a call center and living with some random roommate she found on Craigslist. According to Emma, she's still telling people I was abusive, but since the family knows the truth, nobody's really listening anymore. As for me, I'm doing great. Got a nice apartment, been dating someone new, Rachel. She's awesome and actually pays for her own stuff. Imagine that. We went to New York last month and she insisted on splitting everything 50-50. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I'd just paid for that Paris trip. Would we be married now? Would I be broke and miserable, constantly walking on eggshells around her demands? The Paris, Texas thing was petty, I'll admit that, but it revealed who she really was underneath all the manipulation. Someone who saw me as an ATM rather than a partner. Best $47 I ever spent on gas money. Moral of the story: sometimes the trash takes itself out, but you gotta give it a little push toward the curb first.